Premier League footballer is fighting for his life after collapsing on the pitch during an FA Cup tie. Bolton midfielder Fabrice Muamba is rushed into intensive care as the quarter-final against Spurs is suspended. Tonight, he's described as critically ill.
I started to feel dizzy, and my sight started to see people double and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, I just hit the ground, and when I hit the ground, it was just me gone.
From the corner of my eye, I saw one of the Bolton players fall down, and I remember shouting across to the paramedics that we need to get on the pitch as soon as possible.
Andy Mitchell, the head physio, ran onto the pitch and he's screaming into the microphone, "Get on the pitch, get on the pitch." And I looked up and all hell broke loose.
We have a potentially serious injury here to Fabrice Muamba, the Bolton player.
At first it looked like Fabrice was having some form of fit, but then once we managed to get him onto his back, it became pretty obvious that his heart had stopped beating and this was an arrest situation.
I'm a cardiologist. I just happened to be at the game that day. I saw the team come on and start CPR, and I turned to my brothers and said, I think I should go and help.
And now there are more people running onto the pitch. This looks very, very serious indeed.
I managed to get on the pitch. At that time, it was clear that Fabrice was unconscious. They were doing full resuscitation, and at that moment, they were giving an electrical shock to Fabrice.
Fabrice Muamba has been taken off the field now on a stretcher. From what I could see, they were still trying to resuscitate Fabrice Muamba as he was on that stretcher.
It took about 6 minutes to get Fabrice off the pitch, and during that time he had 2 shocks and a further shock in the tunnel, and the entire time he didn't make any real response. He wasn't breathing, his heart wasn't beating, and he was effectively dead.
I've seen players actually turning away, almost in horror, and also praying as well. Players and fans are praying here.
We arrived at the hospital at about 6:50. which was more than 35 minutes after his cardiac arrest.
And it was at that time that everything hit me. And in fact, I went into the corridor away from where Fabrice was being dealt with and just curled up and cried. And I've got to say, I didn't really hold out much hope for a positive outcome at that time.
From the very first, I thought that what I'd be managing here was a disaster.
We did pretty much everything you would do at a cardiac arrest, bar opening the chest up and pumping the heart by hand.
A full recovery is clearly what we hope for. It's the outcome we want. I did not think that Fabrice Muamba would walk out of hospital.
Fabrice Muamba remains in a critical condition at a London hospital after suddenly collapsing during his team's FA Cup tie against Spurs yesterday.
Amazingly, 36 hours later, after the drugs that were keeping him asleep were turned off in the intensive care unit, he woke up, was moving his limbs and starting to talk within just a couple of hours.
To be essentially dead for 78 minutes and to make the recovery that Fab has made is unheard of. I wouldn't have believed it until I was involved in it myself, and I know that's true for the other members of the team.
I think we were all, as medical professionals, quite stunned.
From where I was to where I am right now, this is the person that should be dead.
The teamwork that was involved in the care, it was precise. It was like a row of dominoes. Had one of those dominoes been slightly out of line, then none of it would have worked. But every single domino, from Howard Webb calling the physio on to the London chest and afterwards, every single domino was in place and fell perfectly.
I feel great, I'm happy, I smile every day, so I enjoy life even more now.
If you wanted to make a film of how to manage a complex cardiac arrest, this is a one to a film.
For everybody that was involved, Bolton staff, Spurs staff, the London Chest Hospital, they're special people to my life, and they're like my angels.